Okay, hi, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. So what can I help you with?
So, I have been having a lack of sleep recently, and I think it's due to like me playing video games late at night. And I've seen that it has been really affecting like my eating habits because it's not like the healthiest eating habits.
Okay.
And like basically I would just take whatever like I see first, like in the fridge or like in the pantry first, and then that's what I would eat like for a meal. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not sleeping enough because of you playing video games and it's having an impact on like what you're eating?
That's correct.
That
yes.
sounds like cool. So, how about you explain to me like what a typical day looks like for you? Meals, how often you're playing video games, how much you sleep every night?
Yeah, for sure. So, on a typical day, like I would have school in the morning. Depends on like what day it is. Maybe for an example, I can give you my longest day, which is from 8 to 5.
Oh, wow.
And you know, like I'm always like stuck in school, and then when I do have a break, which is in between both classes, I'm just in the cafeteria just doing like more work. So I don't really have that much of a break.
Okay.
So like once I get home, like I eat like I would say like a proper dinner, but it's like maybe the first, maybe even the second meal I have in a day. Yeah. And then after that, and then like after doing like my homework and like whatever I have to do, that's when I start playing video games, and that would be like hour-long sessions until I feel tired.
Okay.
And then when I fall asleep, and that's not like until usually maybe I would say 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Okay.
And mind you, I wake up really early in the morning because sometimes my classes start at 8. So that means I have to wake up at like 7.
Yeah.
So like theoretically, I'm only getting around 5 to 6 hours of sleep.
Yeah, so definitely not enough sleep.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
And
no.
It sounds like throughout the day, because of your school schedule, you're not eating necessarily enough or proper, like, well-balanced meals throughout the day just because of school and, like, being on campus. And you said you don't have a lot of breaks in between classes.
Yeah, I really, and that's honestly a problem, I would say.
Yeah, that definitely. So why don't you tell me what you like enjoy about playing video games and how it makes you feel?
So basically, you can say that like video games are like my escape, if you will.
Yeah.
Through like the dark times, or just honestly just as a like distressing, or like basically like if I'm like stressed, like I play video games. Typically like that's what video games are there for me for. And sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes, you know, I'm just bored and I just play video games. If I'm stressed, then I do video games. It really depends on like, I guess, my mood and what I'm feeling. But typically or basically it's primarily used as like a distressor.
I see.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling more stressed, you'll be more inclined to play video games.
Yes.
I see. Cool. And do you do that every night? Is it just a few times a week? Like how often are you playing video games?
I would say mostly every night. There's the occasional nights where I don't, and I just do like watch some Netflix or like. Recently, I took the habit of like crocheting. Okay. So I would do that in my spare time, but most of the time it would be video games at night. Yeah.
Okay. And based off of what you told me, it seems like you're aware that your diet and nutrition might not be the best or well balanced or what it could be.
Correct. Yeah. Just
due to your schedule and your sleeping and playing video games affecting like how much you're eating and stuff.
Yeah.
So are there any challenges that you face in like improving your nutritional habits or like even lowering the amount of time you're playing video games to get more sleep? Like what challenges do you face when it comes to doing those things?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say like a challenge for me recently in terms of like my diet is that I'm trying to eat at least 3 meals a day. And like where there are some days that I do that, there are like the occasional days that I don't. And that kind of puts me back into the habit of not eating 3 meals a day. And like I found that challenging for myself because like, you know, I'm telling myself that you need to do this for your nutritional needs. And like if you don't, then well, you're probably gonna have some complications down the road.
Yeah.
And like even though I keep on telling myself, I guess my body and my mind has just gotten into the routine of just, you know, just eat when you feel like it kind of thing. Because like sometimes I don't eat in the morning because I don't feel hungry.
Yeah.
And like even though like I kind of force myself to eat it, like it's not like my body's rejecting it. It's more like it's like it's not necessary.
Yeah, well, it can be difficult to eat too when you're not feeling that feeling of hunger, even if you know you should be eating.
Yeah, that's exactly like how like I think it's like challenging for myself. And then in terms of like limiting the amount of minutes or like hours or whatever for video games to improve my sleep, I've been actually trying to for the past, I would say, almost like past month, I would say. And like for a week, I've got it down. I got it down where like I can only play for like 2 hours, and then I would get about 6 to 7, maybe even 8 hours. In of sleep. And then I think it was because of spring break. It kind of like
threw you off.
Me off. Yeah, it threw me off. And then like I got no school. I basically get to stay home and like I get to play however many hours I want to do without like, you know, worrying about waking up early in the morning.
Definitely.
And you know, that's been a while. And I'm still trying to get out of that, but like it still hasn't really helped in any way. Like I realized that again, it's just my body and my mind being so used to like the patterns
the routine of
and the routine. And you know, it is like a challenging process, but I am trying in like any way, I would say, to fix those problems and those challenges as well.
Yeah, so it sounds like you've tried to kind of break your routine a little bit, and with the whole eating 3 meals a day and like I said, that can be really difficult to break a routine that you have.
No, definitely.
Have you I know you said that you have gotten into crocheting recently. Have you noticed that maybe like nights you crochet instead of playing video games, do you get more sleep when you do that?
I definitely do. I have noticed that. I think it's probably because like I'm more focused on like when I'm doing patterns on a crochet than me staring at a screen.
Yeah.
I've noticed that because like when I'm staring at a screen, I don't really get, I guess you can say like tired from it. Because like, you know, like the patterns. And but like since I picked up crochet and it's still like fairly new to me, I would get tired within like maybe an hour and a half of doing it. And then I would just like fall asleep afterwards. And like I'm not quite sure if it's because of that, but like like I've noticed like I can stare at a screen for like hours on end, even though that's not really good for your eyes.
No, it's something about screens.
Yeah.
Like, you see
and then
and stuff.
But like for like crocheting, I can like do, probably because I'm not like used to it, and that's probably I probably get tired pretty easily. And then like I just noticed like if I only do it for like maybe an hour and a half, I get tired, and then I just like call it a day and then go to sleep.
Have you noticed your like lack of sleep and lack of like a well-balanced diet and proper nutrition affecting you like physically or mentally in any way? Like when you're at school, do you notice any effects from that? Or
I do notice that. I would say maybe like my diet, like I've noticed it like for a while. I haven't, like throughout my life, I haven't had like the healthiest diet. And like even though like I would still get my nutritional needs, like my fruits and my veggies and whatnot, I'm just not eating the caloric intake that I'm supposed to have. So I have noticed that like early on, I would say. And in terms of like it affecting like my mental state, I would say it's like a 50-50. It kind of does in some aspects because like I'm a very like anxious person. It does affect me when I'm like, oh, you're probably eating too much sugar, like, or too much greasy food. Like, it puts it in my head, and I do get anxious about that. It's kind of like you triggering, if you would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have noticed that. So that's why I've been like trying to cut it down recently. I've been trying to cut down sugars, unnecessary or unwanted like fats, greasy foods, all that. And I have noticed like a change in that.
Okay.
And I'm trying to like keep it up that way. So like that way, like, you know, I do see a change in like in nutrition or like sleep, however like it is. Yeah. And maybe, yeah, and then I guess you can say like with my nutrition as well, it kind of has affected my sleep, because sometimes I've noticed where I would eat like a lot of carbs, so like a lot of rice, bread, and like all that stuff. And like, you know, it's like that typical carb crash. And then you take naps like in throughout the day. And there really isn't, there's nothing bad about that, I would say. It's more like I think it happens too often.
Okay.
And like, you know, I am trying to fix that as well, where like I'm trying not to eat a lot of carbs where I get that crash, or just to take like naps in general.
Yeah.
I just want, because I've noticed if I take naps, I can't sleep in the night. Yeah. And like, you know, people are saying, oh, like if I take a nap, I still can sleep at night. I'm just not one of those people. Yeah, I'm just not one of those people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have noticed like diet-wise, it has been affecting my sleep and my mental health pretty, I wouldn't say drastically, but in a way, yeah, it has been.
Well, it's good that you are aware of that and that it's affecting, you know, your mental and physical health.
Yeah.
Following with the naps part, totally get that.
Yeah.
I feel like taking naps throughout the day is pretty common, especially as like a college student. You're busy, all that stuff. Do you think your naps throughout the day could be a reason why you're maybe staying up later playing video games and not getting enough sleep? Or do you think the video games is just a separate, like they wake you up itself?
Yeah, so I would say like it's 50-50. With the sleep, or with the naps, I mean, it does keep me up late at night. That's why I probably like play so much video games until like I feel I have to go to sleep. But like you said about video games and trying to wake me up, I would like feel tired, but like I wouldn't force myself to go into bed.
Okay.
So like I would just stay on my computer like after like doing assignments and whatnot, and I'm like, I should play some video games. And I would play, and that would wake me up.
Okay.
So like it's kind of 50-50. Yeah, I would say like both scenarios is basically what kind of like affects my sleeping patterns.
Okay, so both kind of play into you not getting enough sleep.
Correct. Yeah.
I see. So I know you talked about trying to kind of break your routines a little bit that are keeping you in the like no sleep, not eating enough pattern. But have you thought about anything else that could help you? Like, what would work for you to improve your sleep and nutrition as a whole? Whether it's like to eat enough, maybe meal prepping, or just putting together food the night before for your day of school, especially since you have a long day. Just anything like that. Have you thought about what might work for you?
Yeah, I have thought about that to myself for a while. I did, I think last semester I was like more consistent about like meal prepping and whatnot, and then this semester came along and it just became more hectic, even though like I have less classes this semester. The timing for like all the classes are just very close to each other.
Okay.
That's why like I don't have like that much time to eat, to prep, or to do meal preps and whatnot. Even though like it's like, why not do it on the weekend? I could do that on the weekend. However, I think it's because I'm such a procrastinator with all my work. It just ends up going into the weekend.
I see.
Yeah, but like there are the times where I do have the time to make the meal preps and whatnot throughout the week, but I haven't got it into my system where I can do it like every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the past, you've tried meal prepping.
Yeah.
And did it work for you for a certain period of time?
Oh yeah.
And then you maybe just fell out of the habit of doing it because your schedule changed and you got busy, you know, semesters change and you get really busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So if you were to try doing that meal prepping again to cover the nutrition part of our conversation, how likely do you think that would work for you on like a scale of 1 to 10?
Honestly, I think it would probably be like a 9 because like I would think, because like right now, like even though I'm not eating so much, like, I still do get like the nutritional needs that I need throughout like the week of school.
You just want to be eating more, a higher calorie
intake. Basically like higher calories, like a lot of veggies, fruits and whatnot, and then the required amount of carbs and proteins and basically all that stuff, because I have noticed when I was meal prepping last semester that it did keep me in that mind, or like that deficit of like, oh yeah, you are having enough calories throughout the week and stuff. And now, like, you know, compared to like now where I'm like, I don't really care about the calories as long as I'm like eating
something,
like then I'm okay, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think meal prepping, I mean, it sounds like you're not as concerned about consuming as many calories now, just making sure you're eating. I think meal prepping could be helpful in that sense, because I know with a busy schedule in school and stuff, sometimes you don't feel like you have time to like just eat anything, or you know, it can be harder to get in just food in general. So I think meal prepping would be a good habit to get into again. You know, with the semester ending and summer starting, it would be a good time to incorporate that more. Assuming you'll be less busy over summer, not a big class load and stuff like that. So as for your sleeping patterns and like video game habits, how likely do you think you'd be to replace video games with your crocheting just a few more nights a week than what you are? Because it sounds like you do get better sleep when you're crocheting instead of playing video games.
I was actually like thinking about that with I guess like thinking it for myself, being like, why don't I like try doing like crocheting like every other day? So like I would do video games one day, and then probably not for like the aggressive amount of hours that I do it typically, and like maybe like realistically maybe like 2 hours max, and then like that could be like one night, and then crocheting could be like probably the same amount of hours and whatnot, with like breaks in between. Like I was thinking about doing that, and I'm like, yeah, why won't I try doing that? But like again, like it kind of like blocked out of my mind and then just left, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's okay. But I have been thinking about that for a while, I would say, and honestly I think it would be very helpful for me in terms of like sleeping, in terms of like getting more hours into my day, so I don't have to feel groggy in the morning and like very tired and stuff.
Because getting enough sleep is very important. And it sounds like doing that, alternating like every other day, doing crochet would help you incorporate a habit and just like a hobby, a way to de-stress, that would help you get more sleep, which would obviously have a better impact on your mood and mental health and physical health throughout the rest of the next day. So if you decide, or if we decide to follow the path of you trying to meal prep a little bit more, just prepare snacks, whether that's, you know, on the weekends for the whole week or just even the night before for the next day, and then incorporating the crocheting more often throughout your week instead of playing video games, how confident do you feel that that is something you can accomplish on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would say confidently maybe about maybe like an 8. I would say I was like thinking about it and stuff, because you know, kind of reducing like my hours in video games, that in itself is like really hard for me. I don't know why. Again, I think it's just like the patterns that I've just been enduring and whatnot. But I feel like since I am like picking up a new hobby and stuff, and like, you know, like I am kind of getting like that addiction that if you were to play video games, that it could probably put me in that mindset of like, yeah, like you can do this hobby and then do that hobby the next day kind of thing. So I think, yeah, I'm sitting at an 8 in like confidence that I can probably commit to like that kind of schedule and stuff.
Yeah, and even if that, I mean, an 8 is a pretty good on level of confidence, but even if every other day sounds overwhelming or like it might be too difficult for you because, like you just said, you have a hard time breaking in that habit of playing video games, which is fine. I totally understand that. Maybe you could just try, you know, if there's 7 days in a week, maybe 2 or 3 nights out of the week, you could try crocheting instead of every other day.
Yeah.
Does that seem like it'd be more doable to start off with than
of
every
course.
other day?
Yeah. I think that would be more doable instead of like doing it like every other day. I feel like I have to just break in that habit of just doing it like twice, maybe 3 times a week.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like every other day. But yeah, I think that is more doable than like just doing it every other day.
Yeah, I think starting off small in order to build your confidence in like, oh yes, I can do this, like have to have more confidence in yourself that you can get it done.
Yeah, for sure.
Would be good. So yeah, I think that is definitely something that we can act on. You know, does meal prepping on the weekend, I know you said your weekends kind of become overwhelmed with school and stuff, but do you think getting like meals or snacks together the day before is something that's doable for you?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a lot more doable than just doing it like, say, Sunday.
For the whole week.
Yeah, for the whole week.
That can be a bit overwhelming. It's
Yeah.
a lot, and I totally get like the whole weekend's filling up with school and other, you know, it's a weekend, so you have your time off too. So, so yeah, doing that the day before, just so you make sure you're eating enough, just eating it all, and then reducing or replacing your video game playing just maybe 2 times a week to start off with crocheting instead, and see how that affects your sleep patterns and how you feel the next day would be good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that all with me.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about this plan that we've made?
I think I am pretty confident in doing that plan. Again, like it probably will take me like a little bit of time to like adjust. But I think like the more I keep on doing it, the more I'll commit to it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
That was 20